Hello, my name is Trevor Carell, and on October 17th, 2014, my long-term partner, Paula Newman, accused me of raping her here in the office at about 1 o'clock. I was arrested, kept in Llanelli police station for 3 days because of my blood pressure too high, and then on January of this year I was taken to court and acquitted, found not guilty of raping her. But several months after being accused of raping her, I looked at the phone records and realised what she's been doing for some years now, since about 2010, maybe halfway through 2010. And she's been doing soft porn films in my office. I know this now because of the landline phone calls we used to get here, which were withheld numbers, and she told me that it was heavy breathing on the end of the phone. So we bought a dictaphone so that we could try and trace who was doing these phone calls. We left the dictaphone in the office for some time playing. I think she tended to forget that it was there. But on the last 3 weeks leading up to 17th of October 2014, she became very, very aggressive. So I started listening to the recordings, and on that week I heard her and her son planning to sell all the assets of my business off, and lots of other stuff as well. After being released from Llanelli police station, probably about 2 months afterwards, I wasn't allowed back to my business for 3 months. I had someone who came up to me and said, "We can clear all the recordings up, Trev, and find out exactly what's being said." And it was fantastic what you can do with software. Didn't know it was there or whether you could do it. And it was then that you realise that, and you download the phone records as well. I had my phones given back to me, well, not the phones, but I was allowed to use the phone lines again. Kept trying them every day, and realised there was a ringtone, so I rung Vodafone, asked them for spare SIM cards. I downloaded all of the paper records, which Paula Newman had stopped. Any paper bills, she stopped all of that some years prior. And you looked at them, and every day for the last 7 to 8 months prior to October the 17th, 2014, she was in this office, a lot of internet use, and at 0.0.00 every day for all that period of time. I couldn't go back any further on the phone bills, it wouldn't allow me to do it. So she's been going home and doing hardcore filming at home, which was why I could never really go around there and stay any later than about 9:30. She used to say she had lots of things to do, walk the dogs with a friend, Antonella Jenkins, who I can only guess has brought her into this because her name is second to none. A reputation goes before her, evil, you know, but there you go. But I need to let people know around the world that when you're accused of raping someone who I cared for and loved so much, this should not be allowed to happen to anyone else. It's not right. There's so many things I need to tell, and it's very hard to remember. I write them down. But for instance, 2 or 3 months before the 17th of October, I was doing a wet room for her downstairs, and I do this evenings, not every evening, but 2 or 3 evenings in a week, and every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And she said she had lots of ironing to do. Now, Paula's always had lots of ironing to do. There's no dispute in that. But I'd be downstairs, she was upstairs, and I'd probably see her for once, maybe twice in that day. She'd come down and make me a cup of tea. And like I say, she said she was doing her ironing. But when you look at the phone records again, which is my phone records, all the mobiles are in my name, Trevor Carell, you can see that she's not doing her ironing upstairs, but she's doing the soft porn films. Now, The day I went to court, which was on a Monday, that was the 11th of January. I was found not guilty on the 15th of January. But I looked at these phone records, and after all what's been happening to me, and prior months leading up to this, Paula kept telling me she didn't have any libido. For 7 months we didn't have sex. And all the innuendo which she kept telling me about different people coming into the office here would try and touch her up, feel her up, friends I've known for years. Slowly but surely it almost drove me totally demented. I was a broken person. You wouldn't describe, I can't describe how I was then. I couldn't hold a fork up to my mouth to eat food. And as far as keeping my head still, my hands, I was just totally destroyed. Didn't have any help really. My doctor didn't do much for me. It's a very close-knit community in Ammanford in Wales, and everyone seems to know everyone else. So whether because she was ringing my customers saying what I'd done to her that day, which was all lies, people will tend to believe a woman, and it's never the case. It really isn't. I can't believe how much power a woman has. But on the Wednesday of my trial, you get adjourned for lunchtime, and I always would go into a room, talk to my barrister, and on the Wednesday she turned around and she said, "For what it's worth, Trevor, the judge and the prosecution, the woman trying to put me into prison, have both watched her doing her soft porn at 9:47 on the same day, and at 12 o'clock, they watched her doing a hardcore porn." And I was so relieved to think that after me trying to tell CID, the police, and feeling like I'm bashing my head against a wall, someone had actually told me that it was there. I asked my barrister, I said, "Does that mean now we can bring this into court?" And she told me no, it's been deemed inadmissible by the judge. I said, "What about the recordings of the office, the security recordings of the office of her and her son planning?" No, he's deemed those inadmissible as well. I had to be judged on my own merits. And on that Monday, when I was taken to court, I felt like I was dirt. To live amongst people while I'm being accused, not charged, accused of raping my partner for 9 years. I cannot put into words. You won't believe how it destroys someone. And only because of close friends, and there's very few of those, I can tell you, you soon see who your real friends are, that kept me together really. And I've got to be honest, 2 police officers, I've known them for some time, and they're genuine people. They're not police. Everyone says police are police, and maybe some of them are, or maybe a lot of them are, but these 2 particular coppers were very caring. So they're not all bad. But going back onto this office, when she'd been doing a soft porn, I couldn't understand why all these phone calls kept happening. Now behind me there's files. When we were back in the office in 2014, those shelves were full of TJC documents on the front of the folders, which were every month new file, maybe 2 or 3 files every month from the amount of work we used to get. She obviously didn't realise that someone only has to Google TJC and it comes up with this address, this company. We'd have cars pulling up in a car park, doing U-turns, wheel spinning, just staring at this unit, and I couldn't put it together. Even down to the fact of 2011, 2012, she was having eggs thrown at her house, which she never told me about. And it wasn't until I was working there, 2011, that these big cones, tree cones, were being thrown at the window. And when she returned from one of her walks, I asked her, I said, "There's people throwing eggs, or there's throwing acorns?" She said, "Yes, I've been egged as well." I said, "Well, why didn't you tell me? We've got to sort this out." She wouldn't give me any explanation for that. But this is people looking at the folders behind, putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 4. and there's obviously local people that are watching her doing a porn and a hardcore, and you're always the last to know, you know. So, but to be put into court for raping a woman when she offered it after 7 months, offered me sex in the office, which wasn't what I wanted to do that day. I needed to talk to her about her son and her, and about the recordings. It didn't get as far as that. After she left the unit, she called the police, and it had taken about an hour to do that, to ring the police. And you listen to the lies, soul destroying, and then just, like I say, see her in court, lying through her teeth, even down to the fact that when my barrister asked her how long had I lived with them, or lived with her and her family, she turned around and she said he used to stay on the odd occasion. I'd lived with Paula and her family for over 4 years. It was a troubled time, I've got to be honest, because of the very, very, very close relationship she has with her older son, Ryan Newman, and almost unhealthy. And I will show you phone records that when she does her porn, she sends 3 texts, which I believe are texts, to the Antonella Jenkins woman, who is a terrible person, and 3 texts to her son, Ryan Newman. And there's so much I could say from when I was living there, which I thought was very unhealthy. But love is blind, and a mother's love for her son can be misunderstood. But what I'm saying, this woman, or these women and her son, can go and do this to another human being, and it must not be allowed. It cannot be allowed to happen to someone else. I'm an old man, 55, coming up 56, and all I ever did was love and cherish Paula and her family. When you listen to her and her son talking about my father, which was in the beginning of 2015, kidneys failing, and me going off to buy him some pyjamas and a dressing gown and some socks and pants, and you hear what she's saying about my father on the recordings, soul destroying. And my dad died in 2015, and when he was there, it took him about 10 to 15 minutes to ask me how things were going with Paula, with the rape. And I had to lie to him and say, Dad, it's all done, it's dusted, it's all gone away. He died about an hour and a half after that, and never knowing or understanding what had really truly gone on. When I was locked in Fairfleet police station, I wasn't allowed back to my unit or my place of work for 3 months. It totally destroyed my business, my customer base, everything. After 9 years of working 7 days a week, destroyed everything. Now, the law says you're innocent until proven guilty. Barristers, whoever, have said it's never the case. You're guilty until you're proven innocent, which is why I was kept away from my place of work. If I was innocent, I would have been allowed to return to my works, TJC Lifting Gear. I had to go back to court and have my bail conditions changed. When I returned to work with a close friend, my unit had been ransacked. Tens of thousands of pounds worth of boots, stock, had been taken. They'd come in with their keys. I wasn't allowed back in. But Samuel Newman, Ryan Newman, with a chap who I'd sold my van to, had come down here with other vans and literally emptied everything. I called the police and I told them that everything had been stolen and that it was a criminal matter. My barrister, my solicitor, all said it was criminal. If she's a director, employee, it's the same thing. She's not allowed to take stuff and sell it for cash to customers that I've known for years. These 2 PCs said it's civil, wouldn't take anything else. It's a civil matter. When I was found not guilty, I called the police again and said to them, are you going to do something about what they've done to this business? It's a civil matter. I couldn't get anything else apart from that. They'd planned Ryan Newman and Paula Newman in this office, and I shall show you paper records and recordings of what they've done, and the police have turned around and said it's a closed case. My reputation, my business, everything has been yanked away from me. Everything. And to face a jury knowing what's gone on and been accused of raping my partner after 9 years, raping, I'd rather have been accused of murder, I've got to be honest, because it's never going to go away. I've been told if she wants to complain about me now, she's more than willing to. I've had a police come up here and visit me, saying I'm harassing her. I haven't spoken to the woman. I see her walking through Ammanford, walking the dogs with Antonella Jenkins, and when they see me they laugh. It's wrong. Everything was so wrong. It should never have been allowed. Anyway, I'll start getting some paperwork together and scanning it in so people can read for themselves. And then hopefully you can make a comment on my new, I've never had a Facebook account. Well, I have, but I've never used it. It's something that Paula opened up for me. I've since learned she had 14 accounts, which is in the evidence. I don't know what they are. One's Facebook and the others are all whatever, Twitter, AOL, whatever. And her name in Ammanford now is on par with Antonella Jenkins. She goes with lots of men, women and youngsters.